Andrew Allen, and I will be doing our presentation on our data set, which includes 20 years of video game data regarding their release date, platform, and rating. We wanted to do this on this data set because most of us were interested in gaming, and we're curious to see the trends involved with our data. So what we wanted to find were the average game rating per month, whether the platform exclusivity has any bearing on ratings, the average rating of game genres, release date, and rating correlation, and the month the best games were released. So we'll now move on to MATLAB. First file is import file, and this is all generated by MATLAB. And it gives us our function so we can import all of our data. Then we have make matrix, which takes the info from takes the input from import file and separates that data into two separate matrices. I should probably go to it. One for the numerics and one for our strings. And we can go to user input, which is our main menu that uses a while loop and a switch case for each case covers one part of the menu. And then project main script, we run this to run our entire project, which gives us this menu, as you can see right here. Our first line is import files. So we load the import files file right from here, and this allows us. This allows us to load all of our data, and then make matrix file is called so that we could do most of our calculations by using this. And then obviously menu is in there because this loads our menu. And we can go to scatter graph. First we create our function, and then we use a switch case. And then these inputs are compared in this if statement. And if it is not between 1996 and 2016, it is an invalid input. And then we have this else if statement that compares the inputs for the month and year to our data and finds where these two inputs exist together and places the data in a variable called new score matrix. And then this is graphed right here. Case 2 compares the scores for an input year. And again, much of this code is the same, so I'll go through this quickly. Case 3 compares scores for one specific day. And the main difference between this and the other ones, in the other cases, is that there's another if statement down here for if there were no games released on a certain day. It'll prompt you to select a different day. And then case 4 returns to the main menu. Next, we have pie graph. So we create our menu using the switch case up top. The first case covers the genres. So all the genres are initialized to 0. And it checks if k is equal to a certain genre, and then if it is, it adds to that count. And then here's the code for the graph. Case 2, excuse me. Yeah, case 2 is for the platform, and this is actually a nested case. So our first case covers all of the platforms, and again, it's similar to the first case, where if K2 is equal to, say, Xbox 360 or Xbox, it adds to the Xbox counter. And then this plots it in one of our pie graphs. Then we have case 2 for PlayStation, case 3 for Nintendo, and case 4 for Xbox. And then case 5 returns to the main menu. Outside of the nested case, we have case 3, which is editor's choice. If case 6 is equal to yes, then it is editor's choice. If not, if case 6 is equal to n, then it's no. And then we go down to score phrase, which is case 4. And here we have all of our score phrases, positive, and then our negative score phrases. And case 4 in this nested case returns us to the main menu, and then outside of the nested case, we have case 5, which returns to the main menu as well. Next, we have lookup. So for this one, case 1 checks for game name, the for loop and if statement searches for the games until it finds the one that was input. And down here, another if statement will output no games found if the function did not find a game. Case 2 is for release month. It returns the games released in this month by searching for the title and shows all the data involved with it. Case 3 is for genres. The user will input a genre, and the code will search for the games in the genre and output the titles and the data involved with all of those. Case 4 is for platforms. It's basically the same as case 3, the same coding. And then case 5 is for the score phrases. And then finally, case 6 is actually a nested case for all the platforms, and this basically returns the number of games released on each platform. So basically what this is doing, if PLAT is equal to any of the Nintendo consoles, then 1 will be added to the counter and it will keep track of the number of games. Does the same for the Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and mobile. And then inside that nested case, it returns to the main menu for case 6. And then outside of the case, outside of the nested case, case 7 returns to the main menu as well. Then we have our bar graph. Go up to the top. Another switch case is used to initialize all of the years to 1 and use a nested for loop and an if statement to go through our data. And it checks if the year is a match and stores that information in a new variable. And then down here, we take the mean of all the years, we take the mean of the new vectors formed by this if-else statement and save it to a new variable and put these averages in a new vector and create, so we can create our graph, which is right here. Case 2 is for the average score per month. So we initialize our variables for all the years, and then this code right here allows the code to not error out if there's no game released in that month or in a certain month. And again, the if-else statement and the graphing code. Case 3 is for the number of games per month for an input year. So it goes to the data and checks if the year and month matches the user input. Case 4 is for all the games released by year for the entire data set. Again, most of the code is the same. We have our if-else statement and then our graphing, as well as our curve fit, which we use for this function. And then case 5 returns to the main menu. So lastly, we have our histogram. So all of our scores are initialized to 0. And then this for loop and if statement checks the loop checks if the score is between these values and then adds to the counter if it is. And then all those values together are stored in a new matrix, so we can make our graph, the histogram graph. Now we'll go to our menu and I'll show you our results. So we do score versus release month. Let's do February. Oops. 1998. There's our scatter plot. Score versus release year. 9. There's another scatter plot. Score versus release day. This is our line graph. So let's do the 28th of November, 2012. There we go. And then we can move on to our bar graph. Average score per year. This doesn't require an input. Average score per month for a given year. Let's do 2003. Number of games released by month for a given year. Let's do 1999. Number of games released by year for all data. This doesn't require an input, but it is our curve fit, so we can see where the predicted number of games for 2018 will be. Move on to our pie chart. Each genre share of the market. This one takes a few seconds to load. And there we are. Each platform share of the market. I'll just do Nintendo, for example. Editor's choice. Score phrases, and I'll just do the negative ones. And then we can move on to lookup item. Game name, I'll enter NHL 13, and it releases all the information. Release month, let's do 2012, February, all the games released in February 2012. Genre, let's do party. This shows all the games released in the party genre. Platform, let's do the Xbox. It shows all the games released for the Xbox. Score phrases, let's look up all of the games with an OK score phrase. And then major platforms, for example, do PC, and this just shows the number of games released on that genre or that platform. And finally, our histogram. There's no input for this, but it shows the frequency of games for each score interval. So finally, I'll go over the questions we had. that we wanted to answer. So we weren't able to answer whether the platform exclusivity had any bearing on rating or whether the weekday versus weekend release changed the ratings. We also were not able to find the average rating of game genres. However, we did find the average game rating per month using bar graph. We also found that there's no correlation between release date and rating correlation. And we did find the month that the best games were released using our bar graph. So in conclusion, this project helped me better understand writing code. I was a little lost in the first engineering class with the Lego robots, and I think this project helped me understand MATLAB much better. I learned to depend on others less and debug my own code. I'm now able to read and write code much more effectively, and this is due to the problem solving with my group. Helped me understand MATLAB much better. So overall, I think I learned much more than I would have trying this on my own. And that's it for my presentation on our data set.